Whoa. Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Libra energy, and we'll get out the cards, and then we'll kind of read the story and kind of read it from a couple different perspectives in a way, because everybody's at different kind of emotional maturity levels. We've all we could be at different ages, so we could look at life differently and have learned different lessons than some other people. But sometimes we're the same age as some people, and some people are older or younger than us, and they're either more wise and more mature than we were at that age, or some of them could be kind of surprised at how shadowy they could be in some way, bossy, controlling, manipulative, petty, envious, jealous, want to be indulged, full of themselves, etc. The list of shadowy energy goes on and on. And so, but different people are going to harness this energy differently depending on how they harness their Libra energy, how their Libra energy within themselves affects them. Could this be a story of what's more going on and affects more people who are a Libra, say sun, moon, or rising sign? Sure, but then that's the energy at Libra at large, which in turn kind of could impact all of us because we all do tap into Libra energy. So we all have our idea of what we think is just and fair. Okay. Okay. So we start out with the Knight of Swords and then the Six of Swords. So the Knight of Swords is Gemini energy. Some of you could be dealing with Gemini, but kind of like our dualistic nature that we have within ourselves. And then it's kind of interesting that this came out, and the reason it came out is because of the Seven of Swords. Both the Seven of Swords and the Six of Swords are Aquarius energy. But in our dualistic free will nature, we kind of decide kind of more, what is my truth and what do I think is just and fair? That's my idea of the dream life, and other people are doing that. And, there could be people in our life that we thought were deceptive and manipulative that we're moving on from. And we'd maybe be trying to move on with people who we think are kind of on the same page as we are, right? And there's other people that we have our dualistic nature. We have different people in our life, and we have to decide what our truth is. Let's do the high vibe story first. For people who are less caught up in their mind and manipulated by their more worldly egoic nature of self, or lust or greed or pride or ego, or being in relationships for those reasons, those people have seen through the illusion of that foundation and realize their own shadowy nature and other people in a more worldly shadowy nature. It's more about them or the ego or the image, and it's not based on truth and love. And high vibe Gemini is about truth and love. If I'm going to be in a romantic relationship with someone and someone's going to be in one with me, it should be because of love. But there's some people in the world that like to live more from their mind than their heart in their dualistic Gemini nature of self. And they don't want to do love. It looks like love, quacks like love, but they never really get out of their ego to more authentically do love. And other people saw the truth of it. And even though they could have had love for those people, if the reason that other people want to be in it is more for these reasons of the world and not love, well, the high vibe people who are motivated and inspired by truth and love and authenticity and deep, meaningful relationships, in Scorpio energy over here, which is about deep, meaningful relationships and high vibe, they realize their dream can come into reality with those people. And so they saw that they operated from different foundational truths of their idea of what the dream life was and why to get in a relationship, why to stay in a relationship. The other people's was more about it being about them or the world or the money or the status or the image, or never giving birth to anything new anyway. They could have wanted to repeat an old pattern, and the other people realized it, and they had to see the truth of it. And that meant they had to stand up for themselves, and in their Six of Pentacles, their Taurus philosophy of life, a more shadowy Taurus philosophy of life, can be where you get in a relationship more for these reasons of the world. And some people are like, that's not my philosophy of life. And I have been illuminated to the truth that your truth is different. That's not my truth. And feeling kind of wounded and having to seeing the truth also that you really need to maintain balance within yourself, because we can really be tempted in our more worldly nature to want to go indulge in things to try to make us feel better, or keep wanting to indulge people in a friendship or a relationship or a workplace because we'd like it to work out the way we want it to have it work out. But, when something happens where, and things could have been happening over and over and over, but people could have kept in Seven of Swords, people could have kept wanting to stay in denial of the truth. They kept moving forward with things, but, it kept feeling wounded. One person's trying to move things forward more in truth and love, and the other person they could see isn't doing that or doesn't want to do that, doesn't want to be more authentic, doesn't want to maybe do more equal give and take, seems to be defensive to the idea, could do some things that are kind of immature that they do to try to relieve stress or anxiety of things that get them up in their head. Maybe they're not able to keep things in perspective and they get up in their head and their fear or their insecurities or something. And then they could go do immature things or go indulge in things to try to feel better. Or just do immature things to maybe even try to get the people that they're in relationships with in their ego. Shadowy people can do a lot of shadowy things to try to stop the people in their life from standing up for themselves and loving and believing in themselves, and try to do these kind of go about things in a hurtful way. And that's kind of the difference that you see. High vibe people are trying to work together with people cooperatively in truth and love, and the other people haven't maybe learned that lesson, that is the way to go about it, and they have these more immature ways of trying to accomplish what they want to accomplish, but it's this more shadowy, deceptive, manipulative, stubborn, prideful, and it's all kind of hoping that the loving people in their life won't stand up for themselves, because maybe trying to use your loving nature to manipulate you. Shadowy Seven of Swords is being deceptive and manipulative. And eventually, over time, you just see that your whole way of how you try to accomplish your goals could both people kind of want to be in the relationship? Yeah, but one person seems to not have been enlightened to some ways of how to interact with people in a more authentic and loving way, that they kind of maybe are just kind of immature and they do these more immature things. Well, they got some lessons to learn. Sagittarius in the Nine of Wands is about higher learning and education, and some people have no interest in kind of seeing the truth, because again, they could think these ways that they go about doing it, well, I think that's just and fair. And they might know people, and maybe, or they just decided themselves, I try to go about things in a covert, kind of deceptive way, maybe because they don't really, maybe it would make them feel vulnerable to really express how they think and feel, you know? And they're kind of defensive of doing that. So then, but there too, then the high vibe people want to be in a relationship with people who do feel a little more balanced and stable within themselves to be able to express how they think and feel. And if some other people, kind of go about things in these shadowy ways, even though some people emotionally could be sad and love those people. It's kind of the fact that they've been wounded before by those people, and they've kind of seen the truth that those people have not changed. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords because they've seen the truth. They have better boundaries within themselves. They stand up kind of to their own more shadowy nature. I am not doing that anymore. I have learned to be more immature or bossy or controlling or deceptive or manipulative isn't the way to go. I've done it enough times that, that's what some of the high vibe people have worked through. Oh, they learn those lessons throughout their life. That doesn't work the way I think it's going to work out. They've learned that. They have learned to not indulge their more immature, shadowy nature. They instead have learned that I should offer love to the situation. And then we have the Four of Swords in Libra to try to heal things. And the reason that came out is because of the Hangman, which can be about being enlightened to the truth, but also willing to look at things from other people's perspective. And the thing is, some of the shadowy people in the world, they do not want to look at things from any other perspective. They have their perspective. They think that's just and fair. And you should be willing to not love and believe in yourself. And you shouldn't have a different perspective than them. And you should defend them and their way of living life and way of treating people or whatever that they think is just and fair. And you should move forward. Basically, they want you to move forward in an unstable foundation that's not built. To build a solid foundation, it has to be built on truth and love, justice, fairness, character, integrity, treating other people the way you like to be treated. But they don't want to do that. So they want people to move forward with them, maybe because they have this dream, hoping maybe they'll change over time. And maybe because those people are kind of defensive of having a new beginning, of exchanging resources with someone else, love them, and they keep hoping things will change. And that's exactly what shadowy people hope for. I hope you won't love and believe in yourself. I hope you won't stand up for yourself. I hope you don't give yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you so you can let those things go, that would help getting you to feel more balanced within yourself, working through some of those things that used to manipulate you, offering truth and love to yourself for being a fallible human being who had lessons to learn, offering it to other people in your life, in your past. They were where they were at. I'm not going to take it personally as being a reflection of my own worth and value. I don't control other people. Other people have their own free will. Can I contribute to how, can I provoke and antagonize people, being immature to make people react and respond in a certain way? Sure. But ultimately, though, what they choose to act and respond, is theirs, but I also have to take responsibility for how I could have contributed to those things. And then just my own, pain, heartbreak, immaturity, codependency, whatever. And when we deal with the truth of our own issues, and it's not easy, trying to tear down an old foundation, a way of living life and viewing life, kind of like a philosophy of life that we had, and working through all of those things that made us more defensive, made us go indulge in things to feel better, where we blamed other people, that we didn't love and believe in ourselves, that we didn't feel more stable and grounded within ourselves. And we go through that whole process. It is really painful. And if you've done that within yourself, you see why other people don't do that. You see why they decided, forget that. That was an option for me to do that. I'm just going to kind of keep doing things the way I've been doing it. And then they might work through a few things, and that could kind of set them free to kind of see some things that need to change or be let go of. and it allows them to move forward in life a little differently. But there could be some major issues that still might manipulate them, that they might choose to, I don't want to deal with the truth of those things. And so those things, though, will keep affecting how they interact with other people, how they feel within themselves. And it's just like baggage we keep dragging with us. And some people have done that work within themselves. They kind of worked through those things and they took responsibility for where they needed to heal and grow and mature themselves, where they could have, just been more immature, didn't appreciate loving people in their life, and have offered, love and forgiveness to themselves, and then knowing when I need to do that within myself, to myself, because some of those people aren't in my life anymore, or they aren't alive anymore. I can't make those amends with those people, some of the people I don't even know how to contact, but energetically, like emotionally, I can offer that forgiveness to other people, offer myself forgiveness, but then at the same time, I have to offer that, is kind of seeing the truth of it, that everybody else is where they're at and they might still be doing it or acting certain ways. But if they hurt me and made me feel wounded or defensive or not maybe love and believe in myself, I'm not a child anymore, and I can give myself those things. So I accept that they're a fallible human being who had their own issues that they needed to deal with that they maybe didn't. And that's, why they were the way they were. And just believing too, kind of, that it all kind of plays out. Odds are, if people are more bossy or controlling, the people who might hang around them might be other people who are bossy and controlling. If they're more superficial and shallow, they'd probably be in relationships more with people who are more superficial and shallow. If they're more immature, they're probably going to hang out with people who are more immature. So are they going to have kind of a life that a more just, fair, balanced, stable life that's based more in truth and love? No, not if they're not that type of person. The other people around them could be in that energy, but it will never be that if that's not who they are. So just kind of this idea of looking at life from a higher perspective, that I'm not going to stay in my ego about it. I believe in the Tower card, which is like a universe card, and the Sun card, which is like a universe card, and the Temperance card, that God has a way of working these things out in the world. That that's not, I don't have to worry about it. God's going to take care of it. Just them living their life the way they did or the way they do, it will have natural repercussions in it. And, kind of like that Bible verse, like, vengeance is mine. I'm not going to stay unstable, ungrounded, defensive, and wounded. I'm going to accept the truth, see the truth of people in my life that, we're not on the same page. You have different ways of treating people than I do that I don't think is just and fair. You can have your truth, live your life. I have my truth. I'm going to live my life. And though I could be sad, and everybody could be sad, I want to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships with people who have been enlightened to the truth, who have learned these lessons in life. And if some people haven't learned those lessons, though they might want to move forward with me in a friendship or relationship, and just as I move forward living my life, there's always going to be shadowy people in the world. And shadowy people can be the next shadowy person wants to be the next shadowy person that you indulge in a relationship. So it's kind of like seeing that truth. Loving people can think everybody's motivated and inspired by love, aren't they? And you have to go through these challenging experiences in your life to be willing to accept the truth. Not everybody is motivated and inspired by love. In a world of duality where we have free will in our Gemini nature, some people decided, yep, no, I'm not aligning with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. I have aligned with the competition, and I am more about me, hiding behind my ego, being defensive, being immature, want to be indulged, want to make it more about me or the world or things of the world. And once people have gone through those kind of experiences enough times in their life, it is like a major foundational shift in how they view life moving forward. Because shadowy Pisces can be where we didn't want to see the truth, because it can be really hard to accept the truth that there's people in our life that we could have in our family, that we've been long-term friends with, that we've known all our life, and to just really see at a core foundational level, it's not more being driven and being more authentic and motivated authentically by love. Wanting to be in the friendship and the relationship, we can all want to be in friendship and relationship, but they're never going to maybe, which with some of the people in our life, that's okay. We can know all sorts of people, so you're a little more, not really more go with the flow, a little more laid back, a little more authentic in a way. You're kind of a little more, it can be a little more superficial and shallow, and it's all how's the weather and how's this, and you never can have a deep, meaningful relationship with them. With some of the people, that's okay, because you weren't wanting or looking, and the age difference could be so great. It's just not, it's fine. You can know people at work, in your neighborhood, in all the different organizations that you belong to. But you also, it's more the people that you wanted to maybe be in a more deep, meaningful relationship with, that when you kind of see the truth about those people, or close friends or family, that really it does seem to be more maybe of how it benefits them, wanting to be indulged, if it's good for their ego or their image and how they benefit. But if it's not, that it's just not really love, and you could have thought there was love there, but if there's no benefit for them continuing, or they don't feel like they're getting any extra benefit or added benefit, other than the fact that you're a loving person who wants to be in a relationship with them, who loves them basically, and they're like, I have other people who'll be in a relationship with me, and it's just like, I don't know. It just, we'll move on from there. The thought can be hurtful, and you kind of realize that, you could have loved them. You wanted to keep staying in friendship and relationship. You wanted to keep maybe working on something and healing a relationship, but you see they don't. And it's kind of like, you could realize with some of those people that they don't want to be in a relationship maybe where they do have to stand up to their more shadowy nature and worldly nature, and other people in their life that they could hang out with that are more along that line of life. They don't want to maybe come out from behind their ego and be more authentic. And, that's all a process of becoming, stepping into your own and feeling more comfortable and stable and balanced within yourself. And some people just aren't there yet, and they may never get there, But knowing that if they aren't willing to stand up and, high vibe Libra, I also view as, or Libra, represented by the King of Swords, the Tower can just be people aren't willing to illuminate the truth. People aren't willing to deal with the truth. People don't look at life from a higher perspective, don't have hope and faith and belief in themselves, in others, and in love, might not want to deal with the truth of it, might not want to see the truth of all these different things that manipulate them, and they're going to keep moving forward in that kind of energy, and they defend their philosophy of life. They're going to move forward with people in their life who maybe don't require them to have better boundaries within themselves, don't require them to be more authentic, don't require them to be maybe more just or fair or loving, you know, defend and hang out with other people maybe who haven't worked through their regrets of the past, who, and then those people could work together because maybe they both feel stuck and they need to heal, and all those kind of people could add people in their life who love them, who wanted to be in friendship or relationship with them, but they kind of had these ways of being about them that they didn't want to see the truth of. So now some of those people could be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as them, and then it provides them maybe an opportunity being in a relationship with someone who's kind of more on the same page as them, if they want to work through those things or not. But some people will just keep living life the way they do. High vibe energy of love gives birth to new things. Other people get new jobs, new friendships, new relationships, but they're the exact same person they were kind of in the last job, friendship, or relationship. And, so long as they're in relationships with people who are okay with that, then that works. They found people that are more on the same page as them, possibly. And other people kind of realize, no, we're kind of on different pages. I do want to give birth to new things. I do want to work through my fear, my insecurities, my past pain and heartbreak, my self-limiting beliefs, because I have a dream of, kind of living my more authentic life and freeing myself from my more worldly, defensive, or immature, self-indulgent nature. I don't want to live my life like that. I want to kind of grow to my full potential. And that means I do have to work through these phases of life to shed these old ways of being, just like we shed being an 18-year-old, become a 21-year-old, and shed being a 21-year-old to be like a 25-year-old. But some people could have went through those stages of life, and then they get to a stage of life too where it's like, I'm good. I don't ever want to do anything different. Let's just keep doing this. And they could be happy with it, and they could like it, and they could love it, and they could like their job, their friendships, their relationships. It's just that sometimes some people who come into their life, or they become friends with, those people can enjoy that too for a while. But that's the thing of going through phases of life where you kind of learn lessons along those phases of life. And then you do kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And you kind of let go of kind of the more immature things, or work through some past pain and heartbreak to kind of love and believe in yourself to go to the next phase of life. And that's some of these other people are like, always like, no, you'll have to go, because no, I'm going to stay here. So they just don't kind of give birth to anything new. Shadowy energy can be where it kind of stays dead and stagnant and stuck in a shadowy hangman. I also got a card out of the Cost of Becoming deck, and Libra got the card Feeling Unseen starts when you abandon yourself. Shadowy energy can just be also where people kind of let go of being inspired within themselves to maintain balance, to love and believe in themselves, to believe in their own dreams. We've all been given unique talent, skills, and interests that are things that are aligned, that would be things that could provide stability and security in our life and emotional fulfillment. That it's, whatever it is, if somebody's good at math or painting or music, doesn't mean they have to do it full time. No, but it's like some people give up their truth of shining their authentic light in the world because they want some of these friendships or relationships or job or career or status or image, that they sacrifice their truth and make their life more about conforming to the world. So they get in jobs and professions that they maybe don't really like, but it pays well, but it's not something they enjoy. So it's kind of miserable going to work every day. Could be in friendships and relationships with people more for the status, the ego, the image. And they don't even really like those people and feel defensive and wounded, but those are the people they feel like they need to move forward with. Maybe for some reason, shadowy energy can be where you feel like you need to work with these things of the world, and you're so caught up in thinking that more aligned with your worldly nature and that these are the most important things. And some people could be really wanting to have a certain status or image in the world and for people to view them a certain way. And so even if they get in relationships with loving people, well, I don't know if that would give me enough status or image in the world. So I'm going to let those people go, just like they quit aligning with that aspect within themselves. They quit aligning with those people in their life. And in their free will, they align with defend their more worldly, shadowy view of life, defend more worldly, shadowy people in their life. And it's just like anybody who indulges in something to feel better, that they don't want to see the truth yet, that this isn't going to probably work out for them the way they think. And we as human beings can think we're so smart, but pride comes before the fall. That you could know some people that you feel are caught up in themselves, in their immaturity, in their pride, in their ego, in their image, caught up in the world. They want people to view them a certain way, want people to go along with them and indulge them in this way of living life and viewing life and help create the illusion about how wonderful their life is. And some people did for a while, but then they kind of realized that it's not being more authentic or based in truth and love. It is maybe more of a mental construct and an illusion. You could realize that some people that you thought were more just, fair, stable, grounded, loving, maybe they're very insecure and unstable and have a lot of wounding and things they need to work through. But, when we're in relationships with people and people are working together with us and it's providing kind of a safe, stable environment, that, a lot of people will choose free willingly to heal because they appreciate the relationship or the job or the friendship. And they could know they have some of their own issues, and that if I maybe don't work through some of those things, or just these are loving and encouraging people, it provides me an opportunity to work through those things. I'm going to use this loving and encouraging and supportive environment to do that work within myself, to work through those regrets of the past. So, as this relationship moves forward, those things don't keep manipulating me. And that's what some people do when they're in those more supportive and encouraging, loving environments. And some other people, though, they just want, in a shadowy Four of Swords, it's always looking for the next friendship or relationship or workplace to get into, because the other people kind of saw something was a problem and those people left. Well, those people may be healed and worked through some issues during that relationship, and they were kind of ready to move forward, to let go of an old way of doing things. And the other people are like, no, let's keep doing this. And then those people get in a new job, friendship, or relationship. But again, it's just a place for them to rest within. They lack motivation and inspiration within themselves to deal with the truth of some issues that manipulate them. And again, they could be completely in denial of some things that manipulate them. But as other people could get to know them, they could see those things. But again, they might think that they're so clever or so smart and that they really don't have to deal with those things. They can mentally and logically overcome them, or they can deceive and manipulate people about things. They don't really have to tell the truth. not wanting to reveal the truth. I know, I have an idea. I'll just create an illusion about what happened. I'll create an illusion, and again, it's just like people going to go get a different job. Well, the people who might work in the interview process of a company, if they're not a young person, they have more experience in their life. And even if they're a young person, they could have a lot of experience based on people they've dealt with in their life and a very intuitive person, but other people in the world do heal and grow and mature themselves. Other people sometimes don't. And they keep thinking they can get away with it. But it gets harder and harder to get away with it because it's like almost like they have to go to younger and younger or more immature people to be around and hang around, because other people are growing and maturing and learning lessons in life, and those people aren't willing to indulge people in a way that they would have been willing to indulge people when they were younger. How much did we indulge shadowy people in junior high or high school or college or 18, 21 to 25? As we get older, we're less willing to indulge people in that poor behavior. Again, part of it could have been because we wanted to be in friendships and relationships and be part of the party or whatever. So again, in free will, something has to be sacrificed, and we could have been more willing to sacrifice people conducting themselves in a more just and fair and stable and grounded manner in order to be part of that scene or something, right? But then as we get older, we're less willing to indulge people in poor behavior to be in friendship or relationship with people. It's like, again, there's all these people in the world. I think I will keep looking to find someone who's more on the same page as me and enjoy the people that are currently in my life. And when I meet some people who seem to have some shadowy ways of being, I no longer get my ego about it and stuck in denial about it. I just see, oh, that person's difficult to deal with. Oh, that person's defensive. Oh, that person's immature. And and so for the shadowy people who get older, it's harder for them to manipulate people in their age group because those people have went through their life experience. And they're like, aren't you going to follow me? Sometimes it's like with loving people treat people in a just and fair and loving way. They're harnessing these energies in a high vibe way. They're not being shadowy. And then some shadowy people are like, oh, you're a just and fair and loving person. I've known people like you before. I think you put in a lot of work and effort to make things just and fair in a relationship. Oh, look at me. I'm not going to be just and fair. Isn't that going to make you sad? And because you're a loving person and it kind of gets you in your ego and you don't understand why I'm not working together with you in a more just and fair way, that then you try to figure it out. And you try to wonder, why aren't you working together with me in a more just and fair way? I'm being a just and fair person and whatever, and being authentic and loving. Well, the reason they're not is because that's not how they want to get along with people. They want you to come indulge them in a relationship in their poor behavior. That would be great. I've got a loving person who's just and fair, authentic and loving and encouraging, kind of indulging me in kind of my shadowy ways of being because they don't understand why I'm not being just and fair, and working together with them the way they work together with me. And then they hope you get stuck in a friendship or a relationship or a workplace with them. And you just keep in temperance balancing out your emotions about the fact that you don't think it's just and fair, but because you want them, it confuses you, like why they're not working together with you in a just and fair way. You keep trying to make it work. Some people have done that enough times. It's like, no, you show me you're kind of shadowy, difficult to deal with. Note taken. Thank you. Yep. I now see that you're immature, you're bossy, you're difficult to work with. Thank you for letting me know that. Yeah, no, I am not. Am I sad? That's too bad. I don't know why you don't know how to work together with people more cooperatively, but apparently you don't. So I accept the truth of it, and I don't get my ego about it, and I keep moving forward in my life in balance, working together with the people in the world who do. And I balance out my emotions about the fact that you're kind of a more shadowy person. So, what's coming up for the people who harness a more high vibe Libra energy? Who have seen the truth about some people in their life who probably don't want to see the truth. And deceptive, manipulative, try to confuse people about the truth, about the loving people that were in their life, and confuse people about the truth of who they are, trying to make those people think they are more just, fair, stable, balanced, and loving than they really are. You've moved on from those people, maybe have had some type of new beginning here with people who are more balanced and stable, and it allows you to work through, just like leaving kind of a job where you had a bad supervisor or complete bad employees, coworker environment. It's like, no, in a world of duality, if people are creating a little hell on earth, I believe that other people are creating a little heaven on earth, and I'm not staying where people are creating a little hell on earth. And you go find people that are more not like that, and then you work through with love, work through the regrets of that, and heal and accept the truth of it. You know, some people lack good boundaries within themselves. Some people are immature. Some people don't want to be just and fair. Some people don't want to do love. And by accepting the truth of it, it can, you know, you can only have your dream come into reality with other people who are motivated and inspired kind of by the same truth you are. And if at a core foundational level, some people are defensive to seeing the truth that it should be based on love and it should be just and fair, and it's not about more of these reasons of the world. We all put in work and effort to have stability and security in our life, but for some people that is the driving factor in their life, or that it has to be more about them defending their more egoic nature. And it's like, yeah, my dream can come into reality with you because of the way you view yourself or the world. So what's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The Ace of Pentacles. Why? Because of the World card. So the World card talks about learning a major life lesson to close out a cycle. At every one of those stages of life, just like when we were 18, 21, and 25, was it just and fair for us to kind of be at that stage of life? Yeah, that's where we were at. It's how we viewed life, how we viewed ourselves, how we viewed the world, what we believed was possible. And then as we learned lessons, we kind of faced our fears to let go of that old way of living life, to love and believe in ourselves, even though we were scared. We put in work and effort to go to that next stage of life and kind of get more grounded and balanced at that new stage of life. And we could have some regrets and mourn some things that we're not going to do or act or conduct ourselves in anymore, and some people who didn't want to move forward with us. But over time, we heal. And we do look at life differently. You know, every time you overcome some fears, some insecurities, some self-limiting belief, it is something to feel proud of. Because you worked through something that used to manipulate you. And sometimes people in your life that you loved that you didn't want to see were trying to manipulate you and not having your best interest at heart. Didn't want you to love and believe in yourself. Didn't want you to keep growing and healing and maturing yourself, because they wanted you to keep staying in friendship or relationship with them, but they want to keep repeating this old pattern. And you're like, but I want to go to the next stage of my life, you know? I don't want to keep repeating an old pattern, and other people do. And you see the truth of that. It's like, well, you can repeat that old pattern. You just have to do it with someone else. And you've closed out a cycle and you're going to have this new beginning, taking the lessons that you learned from this phase of life and all the things you've learned, taking those with you to the next phase of life. Again, looking to find the people who are kind of moving to that next stage of life also, being patient, maintaining balance within yourself, getting to know people, listening to your intuition about who's who, and finding the people that seem to be more aligned with you. Not willing to kind of not shine your authentic light in the world anymore. I do want to free myself. I don't want to make my life more about conforming to the world or where I have to give up my dreams. Not willing to keep feeling unseen. Not willing to keep abandoning your truth. You're standing up for your truth. The other people are standing up for their truth. And those can be opposing ways of living life. And you accept the truth of that. Some of those people, could they be in your family and you are still able to kind of get along with them well enough and you see each other at Christmas? Yes. But you could, with other people where if it's maybe not family, I'm just going to let them go live their life and they have their friends and family that will keep kind of staying in relationship more with them. And I have people in my life that I'm more mismatched with, but they're my family. So will I stay probably in some sort of relationship with them? Yes, but I'm not bringing on any more people. And the people that I want to be more in relationship with are people who I do feel we're kind of more on the same page with, right? So what's coming up for people that I think high vibe people are on their way to having their dreams come into reality because they were willing to detach from what was trying to manipulate them, and they're standing up for themselves in an energy of truth and love. Like, I am willing to work together with people in a just and fair and balanced way, but I'm not going to repeat that pattern. If people want to do that, then every time you do that, I'm going to distance myself from you. And eventually with some of the people, it could be, again, could I see them at holidays, say if it's family? Yeah. Do I want to get in a more involved relationship with you like the way it was? No. I've healed. I've seen the truth. And you do you, and I'll do me. And, we just don't hang out really like we may be used to at some point in time. What's coming up for people that harness a more worldly, shadowy Libra energy that they might not see coming? Well, shadowy people are always tempted in their more worldly, egoic nature. And if some shadowy people are trying to move forward with people where they know this isn't their truth, and again, trying to kind of deceive and manipulate people, create the illusion that they're something they're not, something will probably come up to, they'll either indulge one more time, and sometimes, it's the straw that broke the camel's back, which is kind of interesting because a camel, that could be kind of like the Five of Cups, where people feel kind of stuck and defensive and unloved in a situation. So a camel is kind of like you're going through the desert. This isn't quite what I thought it was going to be. And they haven't wanted to kind of see the truth. And then someone does one more thing, and then that's it. The people are like, that's it. I'm done. I'm leaving. Either they'll indulge one more time in something kind of shadowy that makes people see, I can't keep doing this. My dream is not going to come into reality here. I need to let these people go and deal with the truth of it. Or they'll be tempted by someone who offers them more of these things of the world or appeals to their more immature or egoic or prideful or lustful or lazy nature. And they'll let go of this relationship themselves. And then, again, it kind of shows other people in their life who maybe had been hoping they'd change, that they haven't changed, and then those people kind of have to deal with, it's like the universe card of the Tower is like God trying to get people to see the truth. If there's people in your life who are deceptive and manipulative, and they keep kind of showing you over and over, they're more about themselves, more about ego or image or self-indulgence, and they could keep doing things that are detrimental to a relationships moving forward in a more just, fair, stable, grounded, loving way, even when they have just, fair, stable, grounded, loving people in their life. They self-sabotage themselves, but for some reason, they also think maybe that people should just keep indulging them. Or they keep seeing they get tempted in their more immature nature. What they don't see coming, as they keep rejecting love, the Two of Cups is Cancer energy, and the Two of Pentacles is Capricorn energy, and in high vibe, that would be freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. Some people who try to be deceptive and manipulative, and some people who are trying right now to deceive and manipulate people, what they don't see is that they're in relationships with people and have been in relationships with people who love them to some degree, but they also don't like being manipulated. Shadowy Capricorn is represented by the devil. The shadowy people are hiding that they are more aligned with their more shadowy, all three of their earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, their Cancer, their Capricorn, their Gemini, their Aquarius, their Leo, their Sag. They're all more motivated and inspired by their more shadowy nature of self. They're more immature, manipulated by the world, or caught up in the illusion of themselves, or defensive, or like to live more from their mind than their heart, indulge their more immature nature. That's what they keep doing. They keep juggling the truth. And other people in their life might have been going back and forth about the truth also, because they didn't want to see the truth about these people. But eventually the other people are motivated to get to the truth. And they've probably been offering love and encouragement to these people to work through some issues, to not repeat some poor past patterns. But the shadowy people aren't motivated to be more just, more fair, stand up to their immature nature or their egoic nature or their worldly nature. And some of the people in their life aren't going to keep helping create an illusion about who they are. You do you, we're going to do us. And if you want to try to deceive or manipulate someone else, I don't really want to be around. Maybe if it's just a family function, if it's family or Christmas, that's understandable. Do I want to hang out with you more? Outside of that, no, because it helps contribute to this illusion that you try to create with people. And I don't want to be part of, by not saying something, that I help contribute to other people viewing you a certain way, when I don't think that's the truth of who you are, and I think you're deceiving and manipulating them. Just someone else you're trying to deceive and manipulate. And it could be shocking for the people who thought some people in their life would always defend them and always help create this illusion about who they were. Well, when they see other people being hurt and wounded, and maybe see again, I think you're lying about those people. I think you were immature. I think you wanted them to indulge you. I think you were being manipulative. I think you were indulging yourself in it. I don't think you really ever planned to bring that dream into reality. And those people bought into it. And then they're sad. And then we feel kind of, you'd hope they feel a little ashamed of themselves that they kind of contributed to creating this illusion when they probably knew this is something that someone does all the time. And for some people that have just been in a relationship with someone where they realize they don't have their best intentions, some of those people are getting out of it. And the shadowy people could maybe never understand how people free themselves from things that manipulate them. It's because they keep looking to these things of the world to be the answer. Like, if I just have enough status or money or image or friends or drink this or eat this, that'll be the answer. The other people know the answer. They offered love to themselves and their own dualistic nature to get balance within themselves and to love their more immature, worldly, shadowy nature, to offer themselves love, offer like love to their more defensive, prideful, stubborn nature, that aspect of them. You know, we harness this energy in a high vibe way and a shadowy way, but they've learned to offer love to themselves, to work through all those issues that manipulate them. And then they heal and they feel more balanced within themselves, and then they look at life differently. The way they used to look at life isn't the way they look at life anymore. Because when we're kind of tipped out of balance with these things that manipulate us, it skews our perception of ourselves and the world around us and what we believe is possible. And when we do the work to offer love to ourselves and those things in the past so we can let them go, we do look at life differently. It probably because we feel kind of proud of ourselves and are more being loving and nurturing and supportive to ourselves, that it does change our perception of ourselves and how we view ourselves and how we view the world. And then we do look at life differently, and we are kind of inspired within ourselves to, what other things can I overcome? What other things have been manipulating me that I maybe haven't seen how those things manipulate me, and it stops me from loving and believing in myself and being able to maintain balance within myself. When we take responsibility for maintaining balance within ourselves, that I am willing to see things from other people's perspective, I am willing to work together with people in a just and fair way, but I'm also going to listen to my intuition, and if I feel people seem to be being shadowy, I'm not going to let that tip me out of balance, even though I could be sad because I could have liked to have gotten to know them better, or, but it is what it is, and I accept the truth of it, and I'm going to keep standing up for my truth. I don't think that was just and fair. I think that was shadowy. I think that was manipulative. I think you're being bossy or defensive or immature. Thank you. It's just note taken, Can people be having a bad day? We'll see. Can things be going on in their life that I don't know about? We'll see. Again, some people are just forthright and, don't want to take it out on people. And they probably say, I got some things going on. It really could really affect how I interact with people today. So I'm just going to kind of do my work, and I'd really rather not talk about it. But it could either get me to cry or get me really short-tempered or angry, and that way you don't take it out on other people and they don't have to reveal what it is. It's none of our business, But anyway, we covered enough things. Everybody is moving forward and that's another thing we have to accept. If people were more motivated by our truth, they would probably be working together with us in that truth. But they're moving forward in what's aligned with their truth and defending, working with people and the people in their life because that's their truth. Just like you are moving forward, defending and working with the people in your life because that's your truth. Can everybody be kind of sad? Can everybody feel a little stuck because with some of those people, they wish things were different or that they could have healed a relationship? Yeah. But the truth is, if we know that we operate from very different foundations, can people still come to a place of peace about it? Yeah, you just don't hang out with them the way you did before. Can you still treat each other in a just and fair way when you are around each other or see each other out in the world? if you want, otherwise you might just avoid each other, you know. Um, but the high vibe people are moving on. The more worldly, shadowy people are don't want to heal and see the truth, so they're going to repeat an old pattern. And they'll repeat it as many times as they need to until they're willing to see the truth of something that they don't want to see the truth of. They could be someone who keeps hoping other people will change, want to be in a relationship where the other people have to change, not where they have to change. No, I don't need to change. No, you might look at life differently and you've changed, but I don't have to change. I'll go find someone who doesn't think I need to change. And I'll go maybe try to find someone who I'll try to change. You know, we all have to be willing to change. That is kind of going with the flow of life. But some people could be very defensive to thinking they need to change. So they could be quite prideful, kind of, and stubborn, and think that no, other people should be willing to give up their dreams to be in a relationship with them. But then some people kind of could buy into the illusion, view them as very stable and abundant and loving. And in a lot of ways, some of those people can be very stable and abundant and loving. It's just that they're more, kind of could be emotionally shallow and superficial, and it looks abundant in these ways of the world more so, and they want to repeat this old pattern. And then other people feel kind of sad and stuck in the relationship, and those people move on. And then these people go to try to find someone else to repeat that pattern all over with. And they can't maybe understand because they're kind of not willing to, to move forward. Other people worked through these issues of their shadow nature and became a student of life. I'm not going to keep juggling love, and I'm not going to keep going back and forth. Some people want to go back and forth. Like, we have this dualistic nature. Are you more motivated and inspired by truth and love or by the world? And some people are like, oh my gosh, I can't decide. Well, other people have decided. The people who are more about truth and love have moved on to make their life more about truth and love. The people who free willingly admit they're kind of maybe more about themselves or these things of the world, that's really a driving factor. Don't really, like to be in a relationship maybe, but, don't really want to do a deep, meaningful relationship. They've probably been clear about that, and they're moving on with their life. And then these people who can't decide what they want to do could have different people in their life who they had the opportunity to be in a relationship with, but even the Six of Pentacles can be that they go back and forth. Well, again, it could be trying to find anyone in the world who will indulge them like a mother would indulge a child. And people don't want to be in relationships with people where they have to indulge them like they would a child. And so some people stay perpetually stuck because that is the type of relationship they're looking for. They don't want to see the truth, that they're maybe codependent, want other people to be codependent. They don't want to have to grow up and mature themselves and make these difficult decisions in their life. And they want other people to be in a relationship with them. And if they find someone else who's like that, then they'll both stay stuck together, never wanting to make these difficult decisions in their life, and maybe stay stuck in relationships where they'd like to get out of them, but they're not willing to be more independent. And so then it just keeps going. It's like kind of like a nightmare that just keeps going, and other people don't want to deal with that. They move on one way or the other. And they've been enlightened to the truth about these people where it's just this never-ending sameness. Nothing ever changes. And there are some shadowy, immature, controlling, probably, elements to it that the other people don't want to see the truth of because they're equally maybe codependent on each other. Ugh. There you go, Libra. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.